Britain invented the term brain drain, 1963. Royal Society scientists leaving for American universities. The phrase was coined in London to describe London's own loss. 60 years later, the term is still British. So is the problem. You are watching a departure gate. Terminal 5, Heathrow. March 2024. She is 31, a junior NHS doctor, 7 years of training, £58,000 in student debt, a job offer in Brisbane, paying 3 times her current salary. Her flight boards in 40 minutes. She's not looking back. When a country loses its people, economists call it emigration. When it loses its most skilled, they call it brain drain. But there is a third category no statistic fully captures. When the people leaving are precisely the ones the system can no longer afford to keep. That is not migration. That is structural decline, running at departure gate speed. The 1990s were a different country. Britain ran its longest uninterrupted stretch of economic growth since the Second World War. Productivity rose 2% a year. Real wages followed. A junior doctor in 1998 could expect, over a career, to earn more than her parents, own a home, build something permanent. That expectation, reliable, replicable, was the invisible hand holding skilled workers in place. Then 2008 arrived, and the invisible hand let go. This is the first mechanism, real wage compression. Before the financial crisis, UK productivity grew at 2.2% annually. After it, from 2008 to 2023, that figure collapsed to 0.4%. Wages followed, or rather, stopped. Average hourly earnings, adjusted for inflation. Zero growth for 15 years. Not slow growth. Zero, the longest wage stagnation since Victorian records began. The OECD ranked Britain 6th in the world for real wage growth in the early 2000s. By 2022, it ranked 16th. U.S. real wages grew roughly 18% between 2008 and 2024. UK real wages grew 4%. Poland, once considered the economic periphery of Europe, saw wages rise more than 40% over the same period. A junior professional in New York earns more than twice her London equivalent, against a cost of living roughly 30% higher. That arithmetic is not a lifestyle preference, it is a structural force. And when the pressure runs in only one direction, it doesn't stay theoretical. It books a flight. But the wage gap was only the first layer. This is the second mechanism, institutional erosion. In February 2014, the NHS waiting list for consultant-led care stood at 3 million. By September 2023, it had reached 7.7 million. A record. It currently stands at approximately 7.3 million. The 18-week treatment target was last met in September 2015. 2.78 million patients are waiting longer than that today. The system did not collapse from malice. It collapsed from arithmetic, an aging population, frozen real budgets, a workforce leaving faster than it could be replaced. Each doctor who emigrated lengthened the queue for those remaining. Each lengthening queue pushed more staff toward the exit. Picture a 34-year-old NHS registrar. London, 2023. He works 60-hour weeks. His real take-home pay is lower than it was in 2010. His mortgage application was rejected. The average London house now costs more than 15 times a junior doctor's salary. He accepts a post in Auckland. His replacement was trained in Manchester. She leaves for Toronto 6 months later. The waiting list grows. Between 2010 and late 2024, the number of households in emergency temporary accommodation in England rose from 48,000 to 126,000. A record. Councils spent £2.7 billion on it in 2024/25 alone. 1 in 50 Londoners is estimated to be homeless. The average house price has risen 263% since 2000. Average wages rose 107% over the same period. For a 28-year-old in Bristol or Manchester, the mathematics of homeownership stopped working around 2014. They are still not working. But here's the problem. None of these mechanisms corrects itself. Each one accelerates the others. By 2024, the Office for National Statistics confirmed that 257,000 British nationals left the country, 3 times higher than previous official estimates. More than a quarter of British adults under 30 are actively considering emigration. 38% of under 35s say they plan to leave within 5 years. The sectors they are abandoning: healthcare, technology, finance, education. Precisely the sectors that generate tax revenue. Precisely the sectors that, once depleted, require either more public spending or declining public services, and usually both. The system no longer requires a bad decision to deteriorate. Every departure makes the next departure more likely. A 2015 analysis found that increases in net migration had significantly expanded the pool of lower-skilled workers, while skilled workers left, offsetting one for the other. That exchange has not improved. And this is when the question stops being statistical and becomes structural. And if this sounds familiar, it should. France has watched engineers and entrepreneurs depart for lower tax jurisdictions for decades. Canada is watching healthcare workers leave for higher American salaries right now. Post-war Britain did this once already. That is precisely when economists invented the phrase. What is different today is the scale and the deliberateness of the competition. Sydney runs recruitment campaigns targeting NHS nurses directly. Vilnius put up billboards at London's Piccadilly Circus, offering relocation grants to laid-off tech workers. Not because Britain is failing entirely, because the gap between what it offers and what others offer has grown wide enough to feel like a different world. The mechanism is identical, only the numbers have grown. But what happens when the productive class leaves faster than it can be replaced? The tax base narrows, services decline, the incentive to leave increases. History has seen this loop before, not always in wealthy nations, not always at this speed, but the mechanics are unchanged. When what a society offers its capable citizens falls below what they can find elsewhere, those citizens do not negotiate. They depart. And when they leave, they take something no budget allocation can restore. Not just income, not just tax receipts, the expectation that staying is rational. Once a generation calculates that the country they grew up in cannot give them a life worth building, that calculation does not reverse quickly. Your career projection, your pension arithmetic, your children's NHS appointment, not abstract anymore. So what should you take away from this? Productivity is not a technical metric. It is the foundation of everything: wages, services, housing, opportunity. When it stagnates for 15 years, the damage compounds silently until it becomes visible everywhere at once. Institutions do not fail suddenly. They erode. The NHS waiting list did not go from 3 million to 7.7 million overnight. It grew in increments no single government wanted to own. Emigration is a signal, not a cause. Skilled people leave in response to conditions. The conditions existed before the departures. The departures make them worse. The theme is constant. Prosperity does not vanish. It relocates. One departure gate at a time. 1963. A British scientist boards a plane to Boston. Coins a phrase en route. 2024. 257,000 people follow him. That's not history. That's the queue behind you at Heathrow. Money memory. Subscribe. So the past stops surprising you.